Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Resources for New Hampshire Food and Farm Business Success at NOFA New Hampshire's 20th Annual Winter Conference. I'm Nikki Kolb, NOFA New Hampshire's Operations Manager. I'll be hosting this session with Laura Anders, NOFA New Hampshire's Program Coordinator. Thank you, Laura. And first, please note that we are recording this session and all sessions throughout the conference, and we'll share the recordings with you at the end of the week. Everyone will be muted during the workshop, so please type your questions into the chat box throughout our discussion, and either Laura or I or Nancy or any of the other panelists will read out your questions when we get to the Q&A portion of the session. And for technical issues, please feel free to communicate publicly through the chat or message Laura privately. And if you'd like to access closed captioning, click on the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Click the arrow on the CC icon and then click Show Subtitle. If you're watching on a smaller screen, you can click the three buttons at the bottom of your Zoom screen that read More, and then click Show Subtitle option. And if you have questions, again, you can chat to us about using the subtitles. So before we get started, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that this conference is taking place on the land of the Pennacook tribe, or Ndakina, the Abenaki word for the traditional ancestral homeland of the Abenaki and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land and waterways and the Alnobak people who have stewarded this land through the generations. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Charlene Andersen of the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund to introduce our panelists and kick off today's session. Thank you, Charlene.
Thanks, Nikki. As Nikki had alluded to, feel free to put your name, location, business in the chat. Where we look at this as an opportunity to connect virtually, even though we can't connect in person. So a brief introduction as far as who you're going to be hearing from today. I'll start with myself, Charlene Andersen. I am the farm food lender at the Community Loan Fund. Following me, you'll be hearing from Andy Pressman, who is the Sustainable Agricultural Specialist at the National Center for Appropriate Technology. And then Nancy LaRowe, who's the Interim Director for Food, Farm, and Economy at Vital Communities, followed by Shemariah Blum-Evitts, the Program Director at Land for Good. And then finally, Seth Wilner, the Business Management Field Specialist at UNH Extension, will discuss another opportunity. So let's get started. So what are we going to be doing for the next 50 minutes or so? So we're going to be focused on 4 items. One is to inform you about 2 opportunities that exist right now in New Hampshire that will assist farm and food businesses. You'll hear from a business owner who has received business support and how that has helped her. And then you'll hear a little bit about each organization providing the technical assistance. And then finally, we're going to provide you several opportunities to ask questions and try to create a discussion. So let me talk about the first opportunity. The first opportunity is a program that provides you a team of consultants specific to what your needs are in the business. It's a collaboration between the organizations that you see here in this slide to bring our unique organizational strengths together to best support you. So how did this opportunity come about? So this opportunity came about through the Agricultural Viability Alliance. And the purpose of the Alliance is to ensure consistent, equitable, high quality, cultural competent technical assistance to farm and food entrepreneurs. It was developed to help break down some of the silos that existed across the Northeast region of technical assistance providers, and also to build professional development opportunities and basically build a network of technical assistance providers that collaborate together with really the ultimate mission is to create and increase economic viability of farm and food businesses in the Northeast. So in staying with the theme of collaboration and bringing organization strengths together, the Community Loan Fund the National Center for Appropriate Technology, Vital Communities, and Land for Good joined together and was awarded funding from the Alliance to provide technical assistance one-on-one as a team. The Alliance received this funding from the Northern Border Regional Commission, which provides funding for community and economic development in qualified counties, as you can see here, which are Belknap, Carroll, Cheshire, Coos, Grafton, and Sullivan counties. So what's happening in New Hampshire with this program? So as a team, we can provide business support to you in a variety of focuses, whether that be business planning, enterprise analysis, whole farm planning, land access, succession planning, marketing, or more. You may receive support in one or several of these areas. It really depends upon you. There is a simple application process, which includes sharing financial information about the business. And a little later, Shema will share more about how you apply and where you apply. Now, I think a key thing to just point out here is this opportunity only has a few more months left. We started well over a year ago or more and have helped several businesses with a variety of support, but all the projects need to be completed by the end of June. I do want to point out here, though, that while this project under this grant has a deadline to be completed by the end of the June, each of the organizations here currently does and will continue to provide technical assistance within their program strengths. And when it fits, bring in others to collaborate. The grant funding basically just provides a backup of the work we all do and allows us to bring in expertise that may be outside of our nonprofit organizations. So next up, we're going to take a few minutes to hear from the CEO of Mola Foods about how business support has helped her.
I feel humbled that they essentially chose to help my business, personally. Also personally help me along the way, not just my business, but really essentially sit with me, countless of meetings over the phone with Charlene, and personally coming to me in my site, sitting down with me and having conversations has greatly enhanced where I am now from where I was before. The Loan Fund has helped me with creating a board of advisors. They help with the marketing portion of my business. They help fine-tune my skills as a person, as a managing CEO of the company. They help tune my financial skills, for example, budgeting skills. They made sure that I was able to have outside resources to kind of like help me navigate the business world as it is. And financially, they continue to help me. They gave me hope. And so to me, the help in the Community Loan Fund is essential for people like myself that come where I come from, for single mothers that are trying to make it, that are trying not to ask themselves what's gonna happen tomorrow, if they're gonna have a meal tomorrow. It was no question in my mind that creating this food business will be something that will set me apart and remove those insecurities, may it be financially or food insecure in my life forever, for me and for my own kids.
So as you heard from Jeanette, and every time I hear this this video, I just, wow. Try her products. She's awesome products. I've got 5 of her spices in my kitchen cabinets right now, and they're our go-to spices. But as you heard from Jeanette, the Community Loan Fund helped her in several ways of her business. We are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to create opportunities for people in New Hampshire, whether that's a homeowner or a childcare facility or a business. We're a community development finance institute, which provides flexible capital in the form of loans and investments. And we integrate that, as you heard from Jeanette, with technical assistance specific to the needs of the businesses and the owner skills. We're often valued as part of the business team. Our farm and food focus works across the whole food system value chain, from seed to fork. We provide capital in many ways, whether that's businesses from operations to expansion to land access and more. I'm working with a business right now on looking at possible, loan for a reefer truck, another business with working capital, leasehold improvements. So we work pretty much across the gamut of what could be offered and what a business could be looking for as far as capital. We also work in the regional food system to build collaboration and a strong network of support and providers. I'm often asked, what do you look for when a business comes to us for a loan? And as a nonprofit, as I mentioned, we have a mission to support folks in New Hampshire and to help support and build good quality jobs. So when we're evaluating a business, we're looking for mission impact, which includes, are they providing healthy local food? Is there access to working lands, access to food? We're really a relationship lender. As I mentioned, we're often considered part of a team on a dotted line, but part of the business's team. We look for business owners who are self-aware, transparent, coachable. Basically a business owner that realizes it does take a village to be a viable business. You can't do it alone. Our due diligence goes deep, and it goes deep into understanding the management capacity and the market potential. And this deep dive that we do, it results in a loan structure that works for and with the business. I want to mention our only requirements are that you're a New Hampshire business or you're a business in a bordering town that employs New Hampshire residents, and you have 12 months of revenue. We don't have credit score requirements, and we don't require that you have a fancy business plan. We really want to work with you to understand your business and to help you set up for success. So reach out to me. If you have need for capital or you want to learn more. My contact information is in the next slide that you'll see. And now I'm going to turn it over to Andy.
I think Charlene, there was just one quick question. Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. Should we wait till the end for questions? Nancy and Charlene?
Charlene, there's just a couple questions. I don't know if you guys can
sure.
hear me.
Yeah, sure. We can take them now. Yeah.
501c3 qualify as a business?
We do lend to nonprofits. Yes.
Great. Jess, does that answer your question? I hope so. Super. All right, Andy. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Super.
Well, thank you, Charlene and Nancy, and hi, everyone. I'm Andy Pressman, and as Charlene mentioned, I work with the National Center for Appropriate Technology, which I'll share with you all a little bit about here in a moment. But before I get started, we do have a few questions that we want to ask throughout this session today, and I'm just going to start off with the first question here. This is really tailored to understanding your information needs. And so we're wondering, and I'm not sure if folks can unmute, if Nikki and Laura can do that. If not, please feel free to use the chat. But we're wondering what types of information you seek. Is it production related, marketing related, business planning, succession planning, things like that, as well as where do you go for information or advice for your farms, gardens, and businesses? And also just a follow up to this question, we're also wondering how best you like to learn. Is it peer-to-peer learning, field days, publications, YouTube videos? So yeah, again, I don't know if you can unmute yourselves or at least just put in the chat, but we're just kind of trying to gauge what type of information needs are out there and how best you learn.
Everyone should be able to unmute now. We just changed that setting.
All right, thank you.
Super. There's a little chat action, but feel free to add it to the chat. Great. Marketing and business planning, that's good. I think the how best you learn would be great if people could share that too.
All right. Hi, Kate. I see labor management, marketing, budgeting. Jean, all right. We have podcasts, YouTube, conferences. Joan, feel free to unmute yourself. You have collecting information to help others. Anything you want to share regarding that?
No, I'm just absorbing everything so that I can, bring it back to NOFA at board meetings or people that I meet out in the field. The people say, where do I go for financing? And then I'll refer. So I'm just collecting information. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right. Ready to go to, want to keep going, Andy, or go to slides?
Yeah, anyone else last call?
Ooh.
Sort of what types of information do you seek? Where do you seek it? I don't know if we have anyone really addressing that. Do you go to Cooperative Extension or NOFA or any of our organizations who are presenting today? Perhaps some of your soil amendment dealers.
Peer-to-peer, visual learner. I agree with that one.
All right. Well, maybe we'll move on, Nancy. And like I said, we have a few other questions to ask throughout the session today, sort of all related to sort of your information and program needs. So yeah, I work with the National Center for Appropriate Technology. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, and I think a lot of our circles we run in have lots of acronyms. So yeah, we go by NCAT for short. And our organization, as mentioned in the name, is a national organization. We operate in all 50 states, and we have offices and remote offices located all throughout the country, including the Northeast Regional Office, which is located in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, where I'm located. And our organization started sort of as a direct result to two sort of components. One is the energy crisis of the 1970s, and the other is sort of this international movement sparked by an economist named E.F. Schumacher, who wrote a book called Small is Beautiful that some of you may be familiar with. And so he was sort of promoting these international centers to open up throughout the world. And we became the US center in the 70s. And at that time, we primarily focused on energy efficiency and renewables. We did that for about 10, 12 years until a lot of the funding for those programs went away. The solar panels on the White House came down. So at that time, we got more involved because we were doing things like designing passive solar greenhouses and working closely with producers. We got more into the technical assistance side on production practices and primarily organic practices. So starting in 1986 and then funded through the 1987 Farm Bill, we started a program called ATRA, which many of you I know are familiar with, which I'll share here in a moment about. But before we sort of get into the programs, I think it's just important to sort of define what is an appropriate technology, sort of a confusing word. And so here's sort of a little explanation sort of describing what they are based on what E.F. Schumacher was considering appropriate technologies and the importance of investing in local resources, which we are talking about today in terms of local food systems. And so I would just sort of sum this up by saying appropriate technologies should be safe to use and allow for efficient work. They should be inexpensive to make, use, and maintain. They should try to use local materials as best as possible. They should conserve natural resources. And they should create fulfilling jobs in workplaces. And so some of I do a lot of work with tools and equipment for farms, and just looking at some of these pictures, the upper left is a compost tumbler that I worked with a few students to build out of bike and skateboard parts. This is at a farm in Maryland. Some of you may be familiar in the lower left picture there of the CoolBot, which is a refrigeration system using a window air conditioning unit. We have lots of tools now that are being designed using cordless and battery-powered drills, as the salad harvester there in the upper right-hand corner. And also just looking at some of the sort of bigger scale equipment. Here's a Alice Chalmers G tractor that was turned to battery powered. So sort of pulling off the whole engine. But also I think this is a really important picture because it focuses on designs that are somewhat outdated, but are sort of being reinvented to help meet the needs of producers today. All right, you can go to the next slide, Nancy. So as I mentioned, the ATRA program, this is sort of our bread and butter program that was started in the 1987 Farm Bill so that we could provide free technical assistance to farmers and ranchers nationwide. And at the time, it was very focused on organic production practices. We were sort of on the cutting edge of some of these systems and production practices that I mentioned, but I know it's now you can pretty much go to anywhere and figure out how to grow an organic tomato. So we're always looking for ways to partner and collaborate with other organizations and to remain on the cutting edge. So we write publications, we do workshops and conferences, we have videos, podcasts, and lots of databases on our website. A lot of folks see us sort of as an alternative extension agency, although I would say we work very closely with cooperative extension, particularly because we don't have the research capabilities as extension does. So we really focus on what farmers and ranchers are doing on their farms and how can we share that information with other farmers. And next slide. Just a couple other programs I want to share real quickly as well. First, we have a new program that's a few years old called Soil for Water. And this started in our Southwest region and is slowly moving up to the Northeast. So we are actually operating it in every state now, but this is a program to promote appropriate technology, peer-to-peer learning, respectful collaboration, and adaptive management techniques to advance regenerative agriculture practices. So we have a lot going on with this program, including a forum that you can sign up on the website for. And we also have a film premiere on February 17th at 1 p.m. called Soil for Water that we'll be sharing nationally that you can register for as well on our website. Another program I just want to share real quickly too is the Arm to Farm program, which I help manage throughout the country. And this program helps train active military and veterans to transition out of military and into agriculture as a new career path. So this is primarily a 1-week intensive, and we have, I know for this year, about 8 trainings that have been on hold that we have to make up this year, including we'll be hosting one in Massachusetts and then an advanced training in New Hampshire coming up for those who have graduated from the first round of Arm to Farm. All right, next slide. And just one last thing I want to mention here is we are hosting a National Soil Health Innovations Conference. This will be our 2nd annual conference. It is virtual. And again, you can register on our website, but this is March 15th and 16th, where we have speakers and breakout sessions all focused on soil health practices, including a keynote from Dr. David Montgomery from Washington State, who many of you may be familiar with. All right, so yeah, happy to take any questions, but we also have a second formal question for you all. Again, you can feel free to unmute yourselves or put your answers in the chat feature. And the question is for farmers and business owners. We're wondering what federal, state, and local programs do you or have you used, and how useful are these programs? This could be anything from the Organic Cost Share Program, NRCS programs. Yep, I see Steve put NRCS. Perhaps some local programs from your county conservation district or co-op. Steve also says FSA.
Yeah. Great.
All right, we have gleaning services. All right, and Kate has utilized NRCS Equip, Legal Food Hub, which is now in New Hampshire, Farm Commons, Carrot Project, Extension, UVM Extension. We have County Regional Planning District programs. If there's any specifics there you'd like to share, feel free. New Hampshire Food Alliance, excellent. And again, sort of the second part of this question is, how useful are these programs in helping you manage towards your goals? We have SARE grants.
Right.
All right, any others? Last call. All right, NRCS High Tunnels was extremely helpful. NOFA, woo.
Thanks, Joan. That's perfect. Awesome. All right.
All right, well, thank you all so much. We have one more question coming up, but at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Nancy to share with you about vital communities.
Super. Thank you, Andy. Let me go back to sharing. Super. So I'm Nancy LaRowe. I am from Vital Communities, and we are a nonprofit that our offices are in White River Junction, Vermont, but we do serve and work with farms and food businesses in Sullivan and Grafton County also. And we, as an organization, work in a lot of different areas, including energy, transportation, climate adaptation, farm and food, local economy. I work in food and farm and economy, which are synonymous. So we are excited to be partners in this Agricultural Viability Alliance. And some of the work that we do revolves around land access. So we work with Land for Good quite a bit, and also alternative models for land access. Marketing and market channel development. We do a lot of work in that area for farms and food businesses. We do farm business advising and coaching. We do a lot of work with food access and security, farm to school, climate adaptation and mitigation. As I mentioned, we do work to support farms transition to being more resilient going into the future, because our food system really is going to need lots of farmers doing climate friendly practices and helping with the impacts of climate change. We also do capital access, farmer peer-to-peer networks, and we do a lot of outreach for buy and local campaigns, which kind of ties into our marketing work. So as I think Charlene said in the beginning, we're a collaboration of organizations that do a lot of similar things, but sort of some have other focuses, and coming together as a team has been really valuable. And it has also helped us as within the state become more networked and connected as far as the resources that are available. So if you reach out to me wanting something specific that I can't do, I am now, this network, the AVA network in New Hampshire, is building and strengthening. So I was like, I can't do that, but I do know that Andy has this resource, or Shema does, or Seth does. So it's a building network, and all towards helping farm businesses and food businesses succeed and for our food system become more resilient. Excellent. So I think I am going to pass it off to Shema, who will talk about Land for Good.
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks you all for being here today. Yes, us at Land for Good are definitely also have a very collaborative approach and are happy to learn from everybody who's participating today and also all of our partners on this project. It's been a great learning experience. For those that don't know, well, first of all, I'm Shemariah Blum-Evitts again, and I'm the program director with Land for Good. So I'm actually sitting in Pocumtuck territory, which is now Western Massachusetts. We work across New England in the 6 New England states. And we do have our headquarters is in Keene, New Hampshire. So New Hampshire is definitely a focal point for us. We're a nonprofit, and let's see, what else have I not covered in my little blurb here? Yeah, so we've been working on issues of farmland access, tenure, and transfer since 2004. So we have a pretty narrow niche, but we do that work in collaboration with a lot of other folks. And our mission is really built on the fact that one of the greatest challenges we continue to see for farming in the region is the inability of the older generation to exit farming and the next generation to enter farming. So that's really where we put our focus. We keep hearing the top challenge for new and beginning and established farmers also is access to quality and affordable farmland. And that sort of goes across the nation, but definitely here in New England where prices are high. And certainly throughout the pandemic, we've also seen a lot of increase in interest in rural lands. You can go ahead, Nancy. Let's keep moving. So this just highlights the different audiences that we work with. And we do a variety of ways that we work with folks, but first of all, with farm seekers, we're looking for farmers who may be aspiring or just getting started farmers, but also those that are already started farming and are looking for more land. We work with landowners who may not be utilizing their land for farming at the moment and might be interested in leasing or gifting or selling their land to a farmer. We work with community members, organizations, professionals, government agencies who want to support farming in their community. We also work with farmers and farm families who are looking to transfer the farm, and that could be within their own family or to someone outside of the family. There's a lot of questions that come up with that and creating a succession plan that will work for all the stakeholders involved. We really take a systems approach. So we offer education and trainings, but we also work with folks individually and do direct one-on-one TA, which is what this collaboration is really about. We also advocate for policy change and supportive services for farm viability in general, and we do research projects. So we're kind of trying to do all of those things in support of this. So how we help farm seekers one-on-one is, these are some key pieces that we do, but if you have any questions about finding land, certainly reach out and we'll see where you're at and work, make a plan that will help you. So some key pieces we do is reviewing land access and tenure strategies. What are your options? Creating a farmland search plan that meets what you're looking for. We can certainly assess potential properties that you've identified as things you'd like to follow up on. And we do a lot of work on negotiating and drafting leases. So that can be helping you get started, getting you all the way to sort of lawyer ready. So we definitely recommend you have legal assistance, but we can get you a lot of the way there. And then Nancy, you can move ahead to, I think that, yes, the next one is how we help farm transfers. So this is similar. We do have some, right now we have a webinar series going on. If you have missed the first parts of it, it was recorded, so you can join, catch up. And it will be on our website. We have a lot of free resources on our website in our toolboxes that I invite you to find. But we also do one-on-one support, and that's a lot of the work we've been doing through the Agricultural Viability Alliance in New Hampshire has been focusing on helping farms that are interested in thinking about a farm transfer or succession plan. So we can help farmers clarify their vision and goals. We can help them prepare for or actually be at the table to facilitate family and stakeholder meetings. Help explore and evaluate what the options really are and working through important decisions. Sometimes having a third party at the table really helps kind of separate out all those things and talk through it in a different way. Finding and coordinating advisors. Certainly Land for Good is not the only advisor you would need in a farm transfer. There's it's a long process that can years to create and then also to implement. So we can help with identifying advisors, bringing on, and also identifying and bringing on a successor. So some folks come to us and don't know who is going to take on the farm, and that's common. And that's something we can help people think through. And certainly there's a lot of documents that go into an estate plan and a retirement plan and all of these things getting rolled together into what is that eventual farm transfer going to look like. So that's something we can help with too. And thanks, Nancy, for all the contact information. I think my next charge is just to kind of sum up the Agricultural Viability Alliance project for New Hampshire. And as Charlene had mentioned, we have our current funding through June. So if it's something that you can take advantage of, I would recommend you going ahead and doing that soon. We do intend to keep working together, and we're certainly all available individually also after June, but it's something to take advantage of now to get this no cost assistance for you. And there is an application form, this intake for technical assistance. It's a pretty straightforward, simple form, but it does have a number of questions that we need to get back to our funder on about some of the economics of people's farms and businesses, which is shared confidentially. But that's where those questions are in there. And then that gets routed to all of us. So we can get you to the right person or persons that make sense to work with you. And I think I'm passing it to Andy. And then after Andy, we're going to hear from Seth about a different project that is also offers a lot of support in similar ways. I'll pass it over to you, Andy.
All right, thanks, Shema. So far we've asked you all about sort of your information needs as well as some of the programs you have accessed. And so now we want to ask you all, what types of information do you need that you have not been able to find or that is not available? As well as if there's any programs out there that would be beneficial to you and your operations that is currently either not in the state or hasn't even been developed, or perhaps it even has been developed, but you haven't been able to access for some reason. So again, feel free to unmute yourselves or use the chat, but we're just wondering, again, what type of resources and programs would be beneficial to you that are currently not available?
I could offer, this is Jess. I have talked to a couple of other folks within the food system working in food hubs and in charitable parts of the food system, but trying to find a conceptual space and a physical space where gleaned produce can be turned into a lightly processed, perhaps a cut and frozen product that can be shelf stable throughout the year to feed people's food security needs year round. It's a matter of finding the right infrastructure at the right time and being able to deliver it. And we have parts and pieces of that equation, but we don't have a financial model for making that happen. It's not quite a viable business model, and it's but there's still yet a need. So it's finding the financial and organizational vehicles to put together gleaning and processing.
Excellent. Thank you, Jess. Anyone else regarding what type of information needs you're looking for, as well as any programs that could support your operations? All right, Kate, going back to tractor safety and equipment trainings for employees. And Linda says solar energy and grazing. And for Linda, I should mention there's also a new program just was announced a month or two ago called the Agri-Solar Clearinghouse, which brings together sustainable production with solar panels. So whether it's grazing, raising pollinator habitat or crops within or around panels, there's a new clearinghouse for that type of information. Anyone else who has any topics, production topics that you'd like to see that you haven't been able to come across deliverables for? Looks like Jean is saying some state government or another organization that can help market the state's farms to increase direct sales to consumers in the region. All right. And also just for more farm to school information for food service directors. Sort of on the procurement side, it looks like. All right, well, if any other topics or programs come to mind, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us as we are taking notes, and we'll sort of regroup and see how best we can help meet your needs. And so at this time, I would like to introduce Seth Wilner with NH Cooperative Extension, and Seth is going to talk about another program happening here in the state.
All right, great to be here, and thanks for having me. We're talking about these various different programs, but one of the things that our whole group who's presented today wanted to make very clear is, if you don't have all this down in your head, that's fine. You call any one of us and we will connect you. Not only do we work together collaboratively, but one of the joys of that has been that we've also become pretty darn good friends. And so they're just an amazing group of impressive people. And so we hope we can help you with just about anything. I'm also part of a team. You can see the photos of our team to the left. Myself, Kenesha Reynolds is our state specialist. Kelly McAdam is in Belknap County, and Mike Chevarossi is a retired state specialist, but we keep him on grants and whatnot because he's an amazing economist and really helps with the deep dive financial analysis. We do some similar things, and as to what other groups have, what other our teammates have presented. So you can see the financial, the legal, the marketing, and the human. I think one of the things that we really see as a major area in need of growth from education and direct technical assistance is record keeping. That really is going to be the gateway to whatever you do being successful, whether that's production records, financial records, what we focus on a lot. But you're just going to need to have a good record keeping system. Legal, we'll talk about that in the context of the Farsan group next, but we partner with a variety of legal farm law outlets. So that, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. Marketing, commonly, many of you might know about our marketing programs: promotion, branding, sales forecasting, product differentiation, and then all the various aspects of human resources, labor management, retention, things to that effect. We do a lot with succession planning. We keep hearing that statistics about the average age of the farmer being 57, so on and so forth. We are certainly seeing a flurry of activity of farm transfer. And so that is something that we're all in with. And so we too had one of those ag viability grants, and we went after it for a much smaller scale, and we've helped 4 or 5 farms, but we've connected with that network of we call it AVA New Hampshire, and that's brought so many of us together, and it's been such a pleasure. Next slide, please. So here's an opportunity which almost our whole group, Charlene leads another group called the New Hampshire Ag Financiers, and yet again it's a small world in New Hampshire, and so we're part of so many different groups, and we're part of the Farsan group as well. And so we're missing some logos up here, but what this is, every state was offered the opportunity to apply for, through the State Department of Ag specifically, that's what the legislation was, for up to $500,000 to really address farmer mental health. And so we applied for it through our partnership with the New Hampshire Department of Ag Markets and Food. We received it, and we have put together a program where we deal a lot with the root causes of farmer stress. This is one of the few opportunities that we can actually pay for direct assistance to farm workers, farm owners, aspiring farmers. And so one of the things that we're really excited about is being able to offer actual mental health and suicide prevention services. So we do fund up to 6 visits with a counselor, and we have made arrangements. We know that the mental health world it's a 3 to 6 month waiting list, and we've been able to jump to the front of the line. So we do have the ability to get mental health counseling for farmers in need, farm workers in need, so on and so forth. We also have other services, tax planning, and a variety of the things that you've heard about here today. We can fund through our network when money's run out in other networks too. I do want to mention farm law. One of the things that we're able to do is to partner with the New Hampshire Legal Food Hub, which is a wonderful partnership. If you meet certain financial criteria, your farm nets less than $30,000 and your family income is less than 4 times the poverty rate, then they can give you pro bono services. You do go through an application process and they make all those calculations for you. If you don't qualify under their program, then it gets kicked back to the Farsan network, and we'll be able to fund up to $1,500 per lawyer. So it's a wonderful partnership. We're creating an online resource library. So we've partnered with, oh, my brain just kicked out. I apologize. We've partnered with Rachel Armstrong and Farm Commons. And so we have 18 podcasts, videos, and tip sheets that are in the making on various legal topics. And we also have some financial calculators to really help you understand where cash comes into your farm, leaves your farm, your profitability, the financial health of your operation. So that's excellent. And we are trying to connect farmers with farmers. We do recognize the value of peer-to-peer learning. We're really proud of 2 networks that we've been able to form. One is a queer farmer network in New Hampshire. And so that's up to about 16, 18 members. And the other is a BIPOC farmer network. And that is over 25 new American farmers and some other folks. And so we have coordinators that are working with those network members and trying to determine their needs and how to meet them. So that's what we're excited about. Any program you've heard today, if you're like, who do we contact? Is it Seth, or is it Charlene, or is it Nancy, or Andy, or Shema, whomever it is, make a call to any one of us and we will connect you with the right person. We are excited to help farmers, and as I said, we share so many common goals and friendships. So I believe that's all I have, Andy, and Nancy, and Shema, and Charlene.
Thanks. I think Shema's going to take us into Q&A. There were some questions in the chat over time, but also it's a moment to add other questions. So take it away, Shema.
Thanks, Nancy. If anybody has questions for Seth about the new Farsan network, this would be a great time, or any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Or if you can't figure out the chat, you can raise your hand and we'll certainly take that. I typed a couple of answers to folks because I wasn't sure if we were going to have time, but I can go over that now too. So just to Tom said that you found a next generation farmer to come join on the farm, you hope. So I do hope that goes smoothly, but if you need any resources, I will drop also our toolbox on our website, which has a lot of free resources, or also certainly welcome to reach out to Land for Good on that process. And then Jean also asked a question about How many new farmers Land for Good has helped get established in the Northeast region in the past year? And how many were established on new land versus existing farmland in transition? Those are great questions, and we do certainly get those from other folks as well. Unfortunately, we don't have a definite answer, like a number of like, this is how many farmers were able to get on land. It's a little bit of a squirrely number to get to. We work with hundreds of farmers every year, giving advice and resources. We have in the thousands accessing our website and the New England Farmland Finder, which is also a site that links farmers with land opportunities. So there's a lot of people using that, and it's hard to follow up with everyone to get concrete answers of who made it on land and what their actual tenure situation is. So we do have a subset of people that get back to us and let us know. And thanks, Nancy, for the tools in the chat. And any other questions that we can take? Yeah, Nikki.
Well, I just wanted to say that I thought it was fantastic to learn about all of the different programs that all of your organizations are working on. And I know there were so many resources that you shared, and I hope that maybe Nancy or anyone can share that with us as well, so that when we send out like a post communication, we could pop those links in. And I also just wondered maybe if you hadn't already, if there was any information that you might share about, you know, do you feel that you're getting additional increases in folks asking about getting onto farms in the region? Have you been fielding more inquiries, less? How have you been feeling in terms of as farmland prices have been increasing, and what sorts of resources might you be working on for those types of issues?
There's definitely a lot more interest in buying rural properties. And I would say anecdotally that, yeah, the people are not necessarily buying it for farming in mind, but also thinking about they may have the resources to make purchases, and then after the fact, trying to understand how they can farm it themselves or make it available to a farmer. So we're certainly getting a lot of questions like that. And it has made the real estate markets are booming, as I'm sure many of you know. So that has put a price pinch on a lot of farmers that are starting out, being able to, that we have seen at least, some farmers that thought they might want to be purchasing sooner are looking at leasing and other alternatives for the near term, because prices are challenging. Anybody else want to speak to that, Seth, what you're seeing? Or?
Yeah, we're seeing a great deal of upward pressure on real estate in all areas of the land, all areas of the state. And sometimes we're seeing also the other thing that are hindering farms are the ability to have housing for any farm workers. So rent has gone crazy. You can't even find rental opportunities. Hospitals and big companies are buying up leases with not even housing people there, just waiting for new employees to come. So that's a major challenge we're seeing too. The biggest uptick that I'm noticing now is farm transfer. And it's interesting. So I've been doing this for about 21 years. And the farmers that I came in with that were in their peak, early 50s are now in their young 70s. And so they're now transitioning out. So that is something. And we are, of course, like all other states, we're seeing an amazing bottleneck in labor. You just cannot find people to work on farms. So that's really hindering scale of operations. And so it's interesting, which is something and I'll close out with this, One of the things that I'm fascinated by, and I'm love sharing the space to converse with it, and the sustainability groups are talking about this. What is a new model of agriculture besides start your own farm, rent your own land, produce all your own products and sell it under your brand name? Like, how do we look at different models that are economically viable and can meet a labor force and can meet market demand for local? I'm really fascinated with that conversation, and all the factors are coming to play that we have to rethink what agriculture looks like today.
Nikki, if I could just speak to another program that exists in the state of New Hampshire right now, is the New Hampshire Farm Future Fund, and this is an effort that right now is administered through the conservation. The Cheshire County Conservation District. It's a partnership with Land for Good and the Community Loan Fund, but it is where land trusts who are working with a current farmland owner who's looking at putting a conservation easement into place. And this fund is providing funds to help with technical assistance, as well as pre-development costs that a lot of land trusts incur. So I think in one of the things that we're seeing through this is we're in round 3 of this. So it's privately funded at this point in time, but we're in round 3 of it. We are seeing a lot of farmers who are looking at either succession or farm transfer. And what happens is it's kind of, this is an early stage kind of intersection of a farmer looking at putting land conservation into place, as well as long-term business viability. And so those conversations are happening prior to a conservation easement being developed. So the idea is, let's think about the viability of the business moving forward, or the succession planning, so that the easement language allows for future growth. So it's called the New Hampshire Farm Future Fund. And it's a good program, but I think if there is a farmer who is looking for farmland, reach out to the local land trust, because they're often in early conversations with farmland owners who may be looking at succession planning. I have one in our town right now in which it's farmland that the landowner is looking at putting into a conservation easement, and the land trust is working with potential farmers to put on that land.
It isn't just for Cheshire County, Joan. It is statewide.
Yes,
Correct,
statewide.
Charlene?
Sorry, it's just administered by the Cheshire County Conservation District.
Great. Well, we're just about at time, unless there are other questions. I think Nikki or Laura have a
Yes.
closing.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so this concludes our session on resources for New Hampshire food and farm business success. And again, thank you so much, Charlene, Shemma, Nancy, Andy, and Seth, for sharing all of your knowledge, the resources, and the great work that you're doing to help New Hampshire farmers and farm businesses and farm workers in our state and beyond. And thank you all for being with us for this session. And we hope that you'll join us tonight for the next session, which is on Taking Back Organic at 7 p.m. And we'll put the workshop links in the chat so you can get there later this evening. In the meantime, please check out our virtual exhibitor fair featuring 17 different exhibitors, including our conference bookstore hosted by Main Street Bookends. And when you order any books through Main Street Bookends, if you include NOFA New Hampshire in the comments, 20% of proceeds are donated back to NOFA New Hampshire. We do have a book list. You can look at books on that list, or any book even beyond that. We will get a kickback if you mention us. And please mark your calendars for some other NOFA upcoming events and programs. We have a Farm Bill listening session on February 17th, and our Feeding the Family Organic Gardening Series 6 sessions will be hosted from February 22nd to May 3rd in the evening. And also please check out our bulk order program to save on farming and gardening supplies. The order deadline is February 28th and the pickups are on March 19th and 20th in Andover, New Hampshire, Ware, and Rochester. And thank you so much again for joining us. Great to see you.